episode 7, which is my favorite besides the pilot, just because there's just a lot of payoff, called Man of Steel.
Yes.
Clark struggles to help Jordan, who is grappling with a new power. Lois enlists Clark's help, which leads to a surprise encounter. Here's Lex Luthor. Suspected, we think he's Lex Luthor, but then we find out he's actually John Henry Irons, who fights under the name of Steel.
Yeah, so this one here goes into all of the cool backstory for this character on the other planet, or on the other Earth.
So cool, yeah.
So he's married to Lois Lane. They have a daughter named Natalie, I think it is, and he's a lead scientist, and an engineer, part of the military, but I guess also works for LexCorp or Luthor Corp Industries or whatever it is in that world. And we see that evil Superman has killed Lois Lane during a live broadcast.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it really hit you.
Those flashbacks were just so well done.
And then we see like this Natalie chick, like the daughter. She's really cool. She's clever. She's inventive. She does have that thing where she doesn't like her parents being like displaying public affection, but
it's done right. The daughter was done very right. You know, there was no, it was done right. It was interesting, and like you said, she's very likable. This character.
Yep, and we see the journey of them building this suit, which we learn is for Lex Luthor, not himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lex Luthor's building the spaceship, or whatever the ship is at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just getting a little understandings, a bit more into who he is. And I think this is, I mean, I suspect that this wasn't originally the intention, that he was going to be John Henry Irons. I think by the first 2 episodes, they were going to commit to him being Luthor, but I think someone came up with the idea of like, well, what if we make him Steel, and then we can make him a hero for this season, as opposed to just another villain for Superman to fight. I think that was probably throwing around because it's just very strange, especially when we get later on, that he would allow this AI to call him Captain Luthor all this time when it's not even necessary. When we find out it's never been necessary. So it's just a little bit of it's either like a really poor means of just bait and switch, or they decided we're not going to go this direction to the idea that this actor's going to be Lex Luthor. We're going to make him, a conflicting hero that has to learn to adapt to this new world, so to speak. And I think there's a little bit of kind of like a changing of the tracks, so to speak, but it's done really well. Because you now like this character a lot more, because you understand far more intimately his goal and his pursuit and why he's so committed to what he's doing, and how there's also some parallels to what's happening in this current Earth that he has already experienced in his original home.
Right, in that original home, now villainous superhero attacks Metropolis. Somehow isn't alone. Other Kryptonians have also appeared at his side, turning Metropolis from a beaming city into fire and rubble. Those were cool. Those were cool shots.
Yeah, he just had like 6 or 7 of them just floating around, just taking out buildings with their heat vision.
Yeah, man, you're just like, wow, and that they're watching it too.
Yeah, they're helpless to it, but they're just stuck there, helpless to watch. And and this is the part where Jonathan's like really upset and resentful because he can't play football anymore, and he doesn't feel like he's getting a fair shake, so to speak, I guess, with this new dynamic. Like, and Jordan is getting
Jordan's getting super hearing.
He's getting super hearing and earaches.
And he hears the conversation that they have. He thinks that Sarah and
Jonathan are flirting, which they're not.
Right. Yeah. A little jealousy there.
This one was directed, I think, by David Ramsey, who he's the actor from the Arrow shows. He plays John Diggle Stewart, I think it is.
Okay.
And he does this really cool thing with Jordan trying to push himself to sort of learn how to hear, so to speak, like control all the sounds that are coming in. And um, he sort of leans into the fact that Jordan is a very apprehensive type of person.
Uh-huh.
So we see like a number of times where he's taking off the sound dampening earmuffs or headphones, whatever, and he's trying to get through it, but he just really, really can't. And it's not until he's thinking about Sarah with the like finding like what's emotionally important to him. It's like, oh, he really likes Sarah, so he's able to take off the headphones and focus on that, and that's when
Mm-hmm.
he's able to overhear that conversation between her and his brother, and it kind of freaks him out. But it's still not 100% because I think just afterwards he gets the headaches again when Jonathan's yelling at him for like eavesdropping on their conversation. And what's going on with Superman at this point? Oh, right,
So
Lois is.
what's going on with Superman at this time is that he confronts Steel, but Steel sets up the trap because they're
Yes.
supposed to talk because Lois had set up the meeting.
Yeah,
Um,
Lois has figured out that this guy isn't all he said he has. I think she's got
mhm.
like fingerprints that she's running to figure out who he is.
Well, yeah, and they find out that he's been dead 6 years ago or something. Those
Yeah,
prints
on
or
this
something.
earth, he died 6 years ago.
Yeah, and here in this description, the sons set the differences aside, take their father's truck. They're super hearing to pinpoint Superman's location, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Jordan starts using his powers. Slams the truck right into John Henry before before he kills his dad. Then he's placed in the custody of Department of Defense. I mean, the sons, the Superboy sons, save Superman.
Yeah, so Jordan finds the direction, then Jonathan kind of does a little bit of the physical stuff and
Mm-hmm.
takes out the red sun lights
Right,
um,
right. With his with
with the very hammer,
the hammer.
the hammer that has some Thor abilities to him, like a magnetic hand, like it just snaps to his hand like a magnet with the glove, which is pretty cool. But we're seeing like the first steps towards the Man of Steel armor that he'll probably eventually construct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, Elsewhere in the episode, Lana Lang starts a new job working for Morgan Edge. She's helping with Lois, and she's also helping Lois's investigation underneath, I guess, underhandedly. Is determined to find what Edge is up to. Still,
Yep.
you got to give Lois something to do and Lana something to do, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
this is the part where where you're kind of seeing that they haven't given a whole lot for them to do at this point.
mm-hmm,
And what we learn in this episode, which I mean, it to the audience comes across quite obviously. Morgan Edge is just looking for the best candidates to be experimented on for these superpowers, and
right.
Kyle is really hoping that he gets picked for this program, even though he
Mm-hmm,
has no idea what it's for.
mm-hmm,
And Lana uh, is apprehensive, but she's willing to do it. And I think she gets
mm-hmm.
5 out of the 6. And before she picks the 6th, Morgan Edge already picks one.
Right.
So she
Whether
can't
Lana
even
approved or not.
yeah,
Right.
she can't even suggest Kyle.
Right. Yeah, man.
And I think that's when she starts to realize that there's more going on with this than meets the eye, and goes back to Lois to say, yeah, I'm gonna help you, because why would he give me this job to pick these people and then pick someone who I wasn't even 100% sure of for this anyway. um yeah, like this was a pretty good episode. I really like the fact that the kids kind of get back to their more useful behavior with each other. Like, they have their fights and stuff, but they're able to make up pretty quick. And I like the part at the end where Jonathan's like, "Yeah, I don't even have my learner's permit. I'm driving the truck," and he's like, and he's asking Jordan like, "What's it like to hear so specifically that sound and stuff?" And then Clark and Lois approach the boys and they say, we're not going to hold any information back from you anymore. with regards to this. So if you have any questions, just ask. And they're like, well, what's with the guy with the hammer?
Right.
Now we see him. He's now in jail. He's now in the DOD holding cell. And I think Sam Lane brings out that dog tag again, right? Because
I believe so.
He got it earlier when he met him.
Going to the 8th in our final episode that we will review, called Holding the Wrench.
Yes, this is a Lois Lane centric episode.
Which is why it's my least favorite episode.
Although it gets some really good performances out of the cast. It's also kind of like a half flashback episode, which also annoys me because interesting stuff has happened and now they're talking about it.
And this one's the freshest one for me, obviously, right? Because it was just aired. So, here, because of Lois's kind of like, maybe outbreak behavior towards her sons, Clark suggests going to therapy, like out of the blue.
Going back to therapy, yeah.
Going back to therapy. All right. Didn't know she was in therapy, or that Lois Lane needs therapy. And it's revealed that she had a miscarriage, and that she then puts on, it was such a weird scene between her and her son, and her telling the son about her miscarriage. It was just, I'm like, what show am I watching?
Well, the impetus for it is that they're investigating the RV, and Jonathan wants to help because he's curious like that, and they find the records of Lois Lane and John Henry Irons' marriage and their kid Natalie
and the daughter.
And the daughter. So, and the name is the same name that they were going to name her daughter that she was going to have with Clark after the kids were born. The twins were born. And she's very specific to Jonathan, like, don't enter this place without me.
Which he doesn't do.
Which he doesn't do, and as a result, because he doesn't have a voice identification code, the other thing that's interesting is her voice is recognized by the AI and is approved for entry in this.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Which allows her to snoop around a bit more. But when Jonathan goes in there and his thing doesn't allow access, some guns are trained on him. And
he's given 20 seconds. Why 20 seconds?
20 seconds? I don't even know why. Yeah.
That's so weird. 20 seconds to live.
20 seconds.
Superman's going to save his ass,
And Superman's trying to interrogate John Henry Irons, like asking questions and stuff to talk about what's going on at the DOD. Yeah. And Lois is freaking out. She calls Superman on the sonic device thing and bangs on the RV trying to get it to open. Superman gets there just in time and saves Jonathan, and has a panic attack and is super upset to something that we haven't seen her do before, and she calls Jonathan an idiot and reckless, and I mean, he's doing all the things that Lois would have done before she knew Superman was Clark Kent, which is funny.
Right.
And I like that kind of direction of the inquisitive nature that Jonathan's having with regards to this part of the story. And she yells at him, and she feels really upset about it afterwards. But the words that she spouts out do not meet the threshold for what she's describing to her therapist. I'm like, I don't see anything wrong with what she said to her kid. She said
nothing wrong. She's being a strong mother.
She's being a strong, responsible mother. Yeah. And I don't know why she feels so upset about that. I mean, I can understand being upset about yelling, but not the words, because she talks more about the words that she said that might be irreparable to her relationship with her son. It's like, no, she did. The words were very, very useful.
Yeah, this is where the CW takes over, and it's like, really, if you wanted to show some bad behavior, you would have smacked him. She would have had a drink. She would have, did some more bad behavior. Then Clark would have said, you need to go back to therapy.
she would have used more harsher words, like an ungrateful, petulant fool. Like she used fool, but like something more harsh, like it. And
Yeah.
she just didn't go there. She just didn't go to where she thinks she went in the scene, and it just didn't feel true.
And then there was a therapy session, and then there was a musical number in this because, of course,
Oh yeah,
we forgot it's a CW for 7.5 episodes. They had us fooled.
So out of the blue, Kyle tells his daughter Sarah, "Hey, you should try out for the musical."
Da-da-da.
Why?
I have a guitar. I can help.
I have a guitar. Here's all the songs. Pick one, and we'll practice.
Right.
And it's like, where's this coming from? So they have to give Sarah to something to do now because they're kind of, I guess, abandoning her. I guess she was like she popped some pills earlier and nearly died, and
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with this character.
I mean, really, yeah. Let's just finish this, and then we can talk about
yeah,
kind of like
the
overall.
Yeah.
And then where we looking forward to the second part of the season 1. So she sings.
Well, it's Jordan, who we've learned he learned how to play the piano to some degree,
which is amazing.
He's quite lucky there, and so he comes to her rescue with the music so that she can sing, and I guess it does really
That's
well.
funny.
This part I kind of skipped because I just don't like listening to actors sing, especially in something that's not a musical.
It was a pretty painful episode. Like it just wasn't good. It just was. It was all, and it wasn't just one thing. It was like several things of this, and it had nothing to do with Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like the part of Lois where she talks about the miscarriage to her therapist. Well, it felt kind of out of the blue. The performance was actually quite good. It felt genuine. I kind of believed like the fear coming out of Lois Lane in that part, but it just felt so. Like I just didn't understand why we had to go there. The acting
was fine. It was just out of place.
It just didn't feel like it felt organic to the situation. I think it would have been more. I think it would have hit more home if it was a more intimate thing where she sees the photo of Natalie and John Henry Irons, and then she learns that's the name, and it just kind of hits her. It's like, oh, this is what could have. I mean, it wouldn't have been her daughter with Clark, but this is what.
This would have been my daughter. Yeah.
And I could get that bringing back the memories and causing her, but like not going to therapy and
go to
all
Clark.
That other stuff
go to Clark.
Yeah, go to Clark. Yeah, exactly. Be like, listen.
I mean, they're supposed to have a great relationship. Go to Clark.
Yeah.
All right.
And then there's that bit where one of the soldiers works for Morgan Edge and has been given superpowers and is going to kill John Henry Irons or something, and Superman stops him. They have the fight, and Lois comes in to sort of save Superman from a kryptonite spear, very reminiscent of another Superman Batman story. And then we get this little exchange between Sam and Superman, where Sam's like, we researched these weapons, but I hope to God I'll never have to use them. And Superman obviously has some doubts to that. And I do hope they explore this relationship between Sam and Clark, because it would be really nice if they went a little bit against the grain with the comics and actually had Sam truly love Clark as a son-in-law and as the father of his grandchildren, and have the respect and able to divorce the paranoia that he has as a soldier with a threat. But I don't know if they're going to do that. At least not in the first season. I don't think so. But that'd be a nice longer journey story arc, because we actually have Sam kind of become the father that he thinks he is, but we know he isn't.
So because it's kind of been one note, and besides Lois kicking him out one of those episodes, a couple episodes back, it's kind of been one note. You do see him a little bit taken aback with information that Steel is giving to him.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And I'm really liking Steel. I absolutely love that story. And that was cool too. You got, I think it was the beginning of this episode where it shows Steel breaking through, which I guess would be a time.
It looks like the red, like what they used in the Crisis uh, 5-parter is like this red wave of energy, sort of like engulfs the planets, and I think that's what he was flying towards in the ship. And I guess the ship protected him from that, allowed him to come to this Earth.
Okay.
Going off of memory, like the Crisis 5-part was really bad. It was basically the climax was all the heroes standing shoulder to shoulder and focusing. That's how they solved it. And it's,
oh God,
I mean,
I'm so glad I didn't watch any of those.
Yeah.
So Script, those are the first 8 episodes. What is your overall feeling of the first 8 episodes here?
For a CW superhero show, it's pretty above board. Like it's better than the others that they have going on right now. Has some really interesting relationships. I really love the relationships between the brothers. And I love the fun dad moments that they give Superman. One of my favorites is when he's carrying the water cooler and he's pretending it's too heavy, and like, I mean, that's just something like
that's right.
Whether it's full or not, a dad will do that as a joke just to mess with his kid or any of the kids around.
Yeah, that was a little reminiscent of Christopher Reeves, you know.
Yeah, like you could tell he would do something like that.
Yeah.
Especially like in Superman 3, where he does most of those types of things.
Fantastic. Yeah.
With Annette O'Toole, and I'm liking. I'm liking the John Henry Irons character. I'm empathetic with his story. I totally get it. He doesn't quite understand where he is and what actually happened with like the kind of crisis event. So him learning and realizing that his assumptions are not what they're supposed to be, and perhaps maybe there's something going to happen where Clark gets corrupted either by like another form of kryptonite where he kind of goes evil, and now he has to sort of help Clark come back to being the Superman he is, along with Lois and them. That's speculation, but I can see that being a thing because it's a common trope with Superman in media, cartoons, and live action. So I would be surprised if they didn't use it here, but also I'd be very relieved if they didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely above, like for a CW show, it's way better than it should be for the moment.
For the moment, yeah.
I'm always going to be cautiously optimistic on this because the relationship between Sarah and her father, Kyle, like Lana's daughter, and them, that feels very weird. I know the Sarah character is dealing with her own depression and whatnot, but I pay attention to the fashion on characters because as a writer, sometimes you put that in as part of the character trait. And one thing that's interesting about Sarah is that she wears a lot of thick and heavy clothes to cover up her body as if she's kind of insecure about it. And like being a cheerleader, there's a little bit of like, I mean, it's reasonable, but there's a little bit of like exploitation to cheerleader outfits, like it's a tight shirt or sweater and the skirt and the pom-poms and stuff of that nature. So like she left that for a reason. And then there's a couple of weird scenes between her and her dad that suggests something else is going on there with the alcoholism. And it's like, I really hope they don't go there because it's way too melodramatic for a show of this type of this genre and tone. Yeah, but it's also CW, and they've gone to places like that with other dramas, I believe. I think like with the current Riverdale, I think they've gone to some creepy stuff with there. And I hope they avoid that part. But in the last episode, what I really liked is we saw that first big step Morgan Edge took between dividing Lana and Kyle, where one representative said, "Oh, to Kyle, yeah, you were in line," but Lana said no, and Lana tells him the truth, like, "Yeah, the spot was filled before I could even recommend you." And what's kind of sad is that Kyle believes the Morgan Edge person over his wife. And it's so it's I hope that part is played out properly and done well, and I really hope they figure something out for Sarah to do aside from this musical.
I love the Suns. I love Superman, as I stated from before. Lois Lane has grown on me. Love Lana Lang. I wish they can give her something more interesting. But I guess it'll pay off in the second half. I'm hopeful. Obviously, Steel is that whole storyline is amazing, and yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it as a Superman fan, and you know, no signs. I mean, for me, I don't see any overt wokeness in to where it detracts from any from good storylines and entertainment so far.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything there yet. I mean, um, none of the male characters are coming in dominating anything superfluously. None of the female characters are dominating anything superfluously. It's
Mm-hmm.
all kind of like there's a give and take balance thing going on here, which
Mm-hmm.
feels very natural and doesn't feel pushed or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. There was even
Um,
that great moment where, this was a few episodes back, where the kids are complaining and they're all in they're in the living room, and then Lana Lang puts her foot down. Lois Lane puts her foot down, and she leaves, and then Clark's like, looks at them kind of like, listen to your mom. And
yeah.
that's how it was great. That was great. I love those moments.
Yeah, and yeah, seeing I mean, in my opinion, they stumbled with the family dynamic at the first few episodes of the show,
Mm,
but now
yeah.
they kind of found a proper groove that makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Superman doesn't feel like Clark doesn't feel like he's in a like overburdened with doubt about what to do with his kids
Mm,
anymore, because that always feels kind of strange. Like
mm-hmm.
he was raised by two great parents. Sure, his father died early, but his mom was there. He's got a lot of lessons that he can pass on to the kids, or figure out a way to take what he's learned there and reapply it to the kids' new situation. Because he's a smart guy. I'm curious to see how.
Well, you got to
If,
remember too, he's
yeah,
also trained and raised by his Kryptonian dad for so many years after he left. So he's got he's probably the most perfectly balanced being in the universe.
in that regard, yeah, he probably is. He's got enough point of views to help him through his struggles that he should not have an insurmountable difficulty applying those lessons to both his kids.
Yeah.
I do hope they pick up a little bit with regards to his work on the farm. I mean, it's not going to be as dramatic, but I want to see, or at least get some information that yes, the farm is making money to pay off the debt he owes and
Right.
help with the city. Like that needs to be addressed at some point. Um, on the aesthetic side of things, I want them desperately to change the lighting to make Smallville feel more like a small town. It's way too, like, you just look at the background here. You've got that like hard shadow, orange and
Mm,
yellows. That is overlaid over every shot, and it feels far more grim than what it should be. Like just like open up some of the blues in the sky a bit
it's
more.
true. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Maybe yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Any second half predictions?
The second half prediction I have is that Steel and like John Henry Irons Superman are definitely gonna be allies by the end, fighting against Morgan Edge and his army of supermen or women.
Who do you
Um,
think is going to lead that army? Kyle?
I'd be really surprised if Kyle got the powers.
That's true.
I think what it's going to hand, it's like they're going to. I think on the Lang side of things, Kyle's going to file for divorce, and it's going to really bother Lana
Mm,
because then she'll feel like she failed as a spouse and whatnot.
mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably one story beat that's going to happen. They're going to do the musical where the whole town is going to watch those kids, and Jordan's going to be playing the piano or something silly. So
I hope not, man.
you gotta I know
I
get
actually hope.
a wood pipe and bite on that to get through it.
mm, I actually hope they start like doing their own little versions of like Masked Vigilante, and they like saving kitties out of trees, so to speak, around Smallville, the
Yeah,
Suns.
I,
That'd be kind of dope.
I bet you in the season finale, Jordan's going to learn how to fly.
Ooh, Sick.
It's like it's going to be like a thing that happens. Someone's going to fall, and he's just going to have that instinct to fly up and catch. And it might be, I suspect it probably would be Sarah, and then she finds out he's the power, and that's your cliffhanger for the season stuff.
Great. Yeah, that's good.
Could be good. Could be fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if they are going to make Morgan Edge a multi-season adversary. But I don't think we'll be able to find out that for sure till probably episode 10.
Okay.
Because again, we focus so much on the John Henry Iron stuff and not so much on the Morgan Edge stuff. So now it's got to kind of shift focus.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm curious. I really hope it kind of stays true to this direction right now and this balance that it's got going. I hope they upgrade the suit a little bit for next season and make it a little less store-bought.
I didn't have a problem with it, but until you pointed it out, it's like, oh yeah.
I mean, when you look at some of the, they put the muscle suit under Tyler, who he's already built, but they just give him a little bit more on the shoulders and biceps to really give him that wider frame.
Right. Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with, but it's just like it's got that cosplayer store-bought cosplayers who, don't get me wrong, they do some great additions to their stuff and they're awesome, but it's got that store-bought cosplayer like onesie thing going on with it. If they brighten up the blue a little bit more and maybe stitched on the shield as opposed to being part of the actual fabric pattern, that'd be nicer. I would like the trunks to come back because it gives a little contrast and separation. Not only that, it's way helpful for the actor because they can go to the bathroom a lot easier because in the actual once you're underneath the trunks, you have the fly, so they can hit the John real quick, and they don't have to take off the whole suit just to pee.
Bring back the trunks.
Yeah, man.
So I actually highly recommend anyone who's not seen the season yet to watch from episode 1, and then we'll come back at the end of season 1 and we'll do this all over again. Sounds good, Script?
Sounds great. Yeah,
and
I recommend checking out too. If you like it, you won't be disappointed. And if it's not your thing, well, I mean, you'll find that out by the end of the pilot. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and we'll forgive them. Well, for now, we're going to forgive episode 8 a little bit. But thank you so much for joining us, Script Doctor. Where can people reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD. I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScriptDoctor, where I do episodic breakdowns. I do breakdowns actually of episodes and movies, such as like Star Trek, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and some Batwoman. Temporarily on hiatus right now as I'm working professionally, writing some scripts at the moment.
Nice.
But once that's all done, I'll get back into the swing of things. But you can always find me popping up on various live streams and the next, the back 8, so to speak, of this. I'll be happy to partake in that and see where this thing goes, and maybe we can have some fun speculation on the season 2 as well.
Yeah, well, let's hope that it keeps on flying, man. Thank you so much, Script Doctor. We will see you next time. You can check out the channel. We have movie reviews, music reviews, and all kinds of great guests here on the Latino Slant. Take care, everyone, and wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte. Paz.